Who's ready for another episode of Edge of Indy? I know I am. Hey, today we're joined by a team that provides publications, programs, and other opportunities for Indiana citizens of all ages to learn and teach about the history of their communities, the state of Indiana, and their relationship to the nation and the world. That's the Indiana Historical Bureau. We're going to go straight to the edge again with Paul Poteet, and then guess what? We're drinking wine. At least Brittany is. We'll be joining. It's like I've already drunk wine, but I haven't. We'll be joined by the Vino Mobile Bar. All that and more today on the Edge.
Your audio and video source featuring Indianapolis tech trends, marketing industry champions, and business innovation. This is Edge of Indy. Broadcasting from Edge Media Studios. Let's get today's conversation started.
See, it's a rarity that I actually get through an introduction without bobbling it. So
it's my favorite thing when you don't.
Well, let me tell you, if you haven't joined Edge of Indy live or on podcast before, let me tell you what this is all about. We're talking to causes and organizations, movers and shakers here in Indianapolis that are not only raising a stir, but also really dialed in and dedicated to lifting up the local viewpoint and interest of Indianapolis and Indiana. We're focused on people and organizations that make Indianapolis and Indiana a great place to work, visit, and live. So we say this on a regular basis: choose local, and choose local often. That's what Edge of Indy is all about. So I wanted to first get that out of the way. If you haven't listened, you better jump in and look at some of the older episodes as well. We've been doing it for a good solid year and some change, and it's great to be able to have such great guests that are dedicated to Indy. So I want to introduce to you the Historical Marker Program Director, Casey Pfeiffer of the Indiana Historical Bureau. How are you doing?
Yeah. Thanks, Aaron. Thank you for having us on today.
You are more than welcome. And Lindsey Beckley, historian of the Indiana Historical, is it Society or Bureau?
It's Bureau.
Also, can I play?
You cannot play. This is Brittany Simpson. I was trying to keep you from coughing. I was just kind of avoiding. It's kind of like Indiana Chuck Holes, right? I just got to drive around it.
Probably a good idea. I'll keep my speech limited today.
Well, first and foremost, this is Brittany Simpson, Director of Marketing Services here at Site Strategics, and I forgot myself. I'm Aaron Sparks, CEO of Site Strategics, as well as Edge Media Studios. Now, we have all the members accounted for. How are we doing?
He's that excited that he put you all before us.
There you go.
That's what he's excited about.
Well, I love history. I love Indiana history. And I'll take a back seat to that anytime.
Yeah.
So, ladies, welcome to the show. You're joining us from the Indiana Historical Bureau. Can you tell us what your organization's all about?
Go ahead, Lindsay.
Like you said at the top.
Both of you can. It's okay.
Jump ball.
So like you said at the top of the show, our biggest focus is on historical markers, and that's mostly going to be Casey. Mm-hmm. She's our historical marker manager. And then we also do, from our historical marker research, we try to take that and do the research once and then publish everywhere. That's what we always say: research once, publish everywhere. And we see publishing as being in a variety of different ways. Mm-hmm. We do a podcast, we have a blog. We, of course, the markers would be a publishing of some sort. And then we also go out and give talks sometimes. We have a lot of different ways that we get the history out to the community. We look for any kind of Indiana history that has a statewide effect, and or really any kind of Indiana history. So we're just about getting the information about Indiana history and getting people involved in their community history.
Do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
We are a state agency. I know Aaron had mentioned it early on. The Indiana Historical Society is across the street from us. So we're right inside the Indiana State Library. Come by, visit us. We have extensive marker files, research files. If people are interested in digging deeper into a specific thing, we're happy to help. We have a bookshop in there. But yeah, that's kind of when you said a lot of people do confuse with the society. But
you guys don't have like wars, do you?
We don't. No, we play nice.
There's a friendly rivalry.
No, you were mentioning it before. Indy's a great place in terms of collaboration between historical groups. There's so many wonderful organizations who are doing great things, and we're happy to be able to partner with them on a variety of projects. One that's coming up this week is the Hoosier Women at Work Conference. I know you guys briefly talked about that a couple weeks ago. That is a conference that we host with the Indiana State Library, Indiana Division of Natural Resources, Department of Historic Preservation and Archaeology. People from UPOI are involved.
Oh, wow.
So it is a great conference that's going to be happening here this Friday at the the Harrison Arts Center.
One of the things your team does really well is it's history communication for non-historians. So you really take our state's history and make it digestible for people who don't have a history mind. Like me, who's like, chronologically, none of this makes any sense, but in little chunks, perfect sense. So tell us why that's really your approach to how you do things, because I think it's something that really makes you distinctly different than a lot of organizations.
Right. So we try to reach a broad variety of audiences. So with the markers, we'll do extensive research, footnotes, annotations. For the people who are interested in that, those are available on our website. That material is there. I'm a history nerd. I love the footnotes. Some people, they want to skim over those things. And that's where Lindsey was talking about, where, we'll convert that work over to a blog post and focus on another issue maybe that we, couldn't detail on the marker. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the state markers. It's really just a couple sentences on the front and back of a marker, so there's not a ton of space to say.
Those are like the plaque things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So we have over 630 that we've installed going all the way back to 1946.
Oh, wow.
They are in every county but 4 right now, but we're going to be getting 2 markers.
You want to shame those counties right now?
Call them out.
Well, Clinton and Du Bois are doing great, and they're going to get them this year.
And then there's the other 2.
Then there's other 2, but
And you know who you are.
we are looking to get markers in those communities and in those counties in the coming years. And that's one of the great things that we love about the marker program is the diversity, both geographically. We get to go to counties and all over the state and meet with people and install these markers, and they take such pride in them. It's their history, and it's great to see them take so much enjoyment out of it. I was up in LaPorte County just on Friday for our first dedication this season, commemorating early medical college in Indiana that was open in the 1840s. It was a really pioneering institution, and they were just so excited to be there. Even though it's 40 degrees outside, people show up to these events, which is great to see. And then also in beyond the geographical diversity, we also just have in terms of diversity of topics. So if you're interested in women's history and sports history, African American history, you can find a marker on it, which is a really great thing. Again, trying to reach people of a variety of interests. And it's fun for us because we always get to research something new.
Now, my gears just got going there. So if you have all these markers somewhat categorized, right? And I come from a scout background, so we do geocaching all the time, right? Do you have any type of maps to certain types of categories and genres? So, I mean, for women's history, do you have markers that you can actually put together a trail and be able to find different historical areas around the state?
So that's something that we hope to do more of in the future. Cool. If you go on our website, you can search either by category. So if it is, if you are interested in women's history, you just want to pull up all the women's history markers, there's a whole list of them.
Cool.
If you want to search by county and you're saying, hey, we're going on vacation, I want to go through this area, you can go and search that way. So there definitely is that, those possibilities out there. Lindsey and I actually developed a walking tour of some of our markers in the downtown Indianapolis area last year in conjunction with the National Council on Public History Conference. So we got to go with about 25 people and walk them around and kind of do a deep dive into some of the history behind some of these markers, which was a great event.
Was the weather nice on that day?
It shockingly was.
Wow. Let's all think back to that. It's not going to happen.
It was late April, too, so there's still hope. I mean,
is there?
I have to hope.
Well, we'll probably listen to Paul Poteet. He's probably going to give a wet blanket, probably a frozen wet blanket on all those aspirations. To dovetail off of what Brittany was saying is that you're really disseminating historical content in a lot of different ways, especially embracing new media. Right, so you're podcasters in your own right, like you said, with Talking Hoosier History. So what topics have you explored on that, and what can our viewers actually listen and expect to tune into in the future?
Yeah, so our most recent episode, usually they drop around the first of the month. If it's a Saturday or Sunday, we'll drop the nearest Monday. But our last episode that we just dropped is called Reaching Towards Peace. It's about Robert Kennedy's speech in Indianapolis when he was remarking on Martin Luther King Jr.'s death. And so that's our most recent one, and we have them on everything from Abraham Lincoln living in Indiana to poet Kenneth Rexroth in Indiana. We try to cover a diverse range of topics. We have one on the Senate Avenue YMCA here in Indianapolis. So we try to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Try to be inclusive, just like we do with the marker program. So, like I said, we do about the first of every month. We are on a little hiatus right now. We're going to take a couple months off, regroup.
It's hard. It's hard to keep up.
Yes, it is. Yes, and we only do it monthly, so I can't imagine doing it weekly.
It's a bit of a gauntlet. But for our watchers at home, you want to make sure you check out the soundcloud.com/Talking Hoosier History. And I just relayed that to our audio listeners as well.
Cool.
Twofer right there. So check that out. And we really appreciate what you're doing, because you're getting out of the blazed path of just the academic space.
Yes.
And you're really capitalizing on how to reach your audience in
where they are.
Right. Yes, going to meet them where they. Yeah, that's very important to us. Trying not to just stay in the same. I wouldn't say rut, because that sounds like a bad thing.
Called a lane.
But yeah, staying in our same lane that we've been in. We've been around for over 100 years now.
Yeah.
So we
You've
don't
been podcasting for 100.
Wow, you look great. You don't look a day over.
Pioneering
Yeah, you've got great skincare. Then that's great. That's great. As far as the blog goes, that's the Indiana History blog, and that's where you've posted like a myriad of topics ranging from the inventor of the television to Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah.
The inventor of television lived in Indiana.
Yeah, he actually developed the first television set here in Indiana.
Well, God bless
but
him.
He's not from Indiana, though.
Okay, well, he was just here when he did it.
We'll claim
Inspiration comes from Indiana.
So with that kind of content, who's in charge of that? And like, are you ever taking submissions from people in the community? Like, would you be open to blogging on XYZ topic, or could you tell us more about whatever? Like, what is that process like? Because it sounds really interesting. And if you're covering that kind of range, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty diverse. I mean, with our staff, we're very fortunate that everyone, has their own interests and stuff. So a lot of times, whether it's Lindsey's done a podcast or we've done a marker, whoever maybe is in the agency who's done that will then do the blog on that. But we are definitely open to guest bloggers. We really encourage people to submit topics, and Nicole Politica, who's in our office, kind of is one in charge of that, and we'll work with guest bloggers.
How big is your team? Just curious.
We are very small. We have 5 staff members, so there's a lot of history to cover between us, but we're a great team and like to work together. So.
Cool.
So I mean, you're getting this content, and you're probably, as you've been disseminating this over months and years, you're finding a brand new audience that needs to really, I mean, what we're realizing is the millennial generation is wanting to be able to plug in, and they're wanting to understand their roots more and more. And there's been a bit of a gap of information, and it's not to anybody's delivery. It's literally that media has taken us so far away from what's happening right at in your front yard.
Right.
And so you're trying to bridge that gap. Have you been able to see a new response from that new media audience, and picking up and actually and seeing individuals are inspired to actually kind of follow in your footsteps? Have you been able to lay some new trails for individuals?
Yeah, I think we have been. We've been active on Facebook for quite a long time, but I've recently been told by a high schooler that Facebook is where you go to keep in touch with your grandparents. So she said, no, we need to be more on Twitter. So we've been active on Twitter for a while as well. So we're trying to beef that up a little bit now that I know we're only reaching grandparents.
Apparently. We're very sorry for all the Facebook audience.
Not the grandparents don't don't matter. We love grandparents.
Hashtag all grandparents.
Yeah.
Well, we just did recently too, kind of piggybacking off March Madness. We did a Marker Madness where we kind of put potential marker topics against one another and had people vote on Facebook and Twitter of what they would like to see. We have a lengthy wish list of topics that we would love to see become markers. People say that to us all the time, like, how can you not have a marker to this popular topic? And the marker program is public driven. So we accept applications from the public each year. We're actually in the middle of an application cycle right now. So people have until June 22nd to apply. Mm-hmm. So if anyone's out there and is interested, feel free to send us an email if you have any questions. But so, if there is a topic out there that you say, why isn't it commemorated? That's pretty much why. But it was great to see the response for Marker Madness. And again, just looking at the wide array of topics that we had, we're really excited to do it again in future years.
If someone has a nomination for a marker and it works out and it's made and it's there, is there is it get credited to them? Is their name on something or something? Like, I'm trying to appeal to the egos out there.
No, for sure. So that's a great question. So at the bottom of the marker on the second side, we always have a credit line.
Oh,
so we encourage people to work with, to try to collaborate, work with a variety of organizations. That way, it helps cut back on costs, but then there's also, more community buy-in and support.
Instead of just this was Sarah.
Yeah. Not that there's a problem with that.
Good job, Sarah.
You know what? But yeah, so they are featured on the credit line, and then on our website, I was talking about the markers before. We have a page for every single marker that we've installed, and that credit line appears there as well. So if people are just looking online, they'll see their name as well.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So are there any upcoming marker dedication ceremonies across the state?
Yeah, so we have one. We're pretty excited. April 19th, we're going to be dedicating a marker to Syrian immigrant community in Terre Haute. Syrian immigration is such a big topic in the news today, but a lot of people don't realize that Syrian immigration was happening long ago. So this commemorates a community that was established in Terre Haute, late 1800s, early 1900s, really adding to the cultural diversity of the state. And that's something that we try to do too, really looking at several immigrant groups that made Indiana what it is.
Right.
We dedicated a marker last year to German immigration in the state, and we kind of did it in conjunction with World War I. The centennial of World War I. So it looked at the demise of German language newspapers in the state as a result of animosities during the war.
Oh, wow.
That marker for it's entitled Little Syria on the Wabash. It will be dedicated April 19th. We have another marker here in Indianapolis. I believe it's the 24th. I think they just set the date for a World War I aviation repair depot. A lot of people, know of the Speedway because of the 500 and automobiles, but we've had a couple of markers now that really look at aviation history in the area. So we're really excited for that one. We have a couple coming up in June for Evangeline Harris Merriweather. She was an early African-American educator. I think we'll be doing one this summer. Lindsay's working on one for a magician, actually. So
what?
Lester Lake. Yeah, Lester Lake. He's a very interesting fellow. I haven't been able to look at my research for that for a little bit, but he was an inventor of tricks more than anything. He invented over 300 magic tricks in his career.
Wow.
And probably the one that you're most familiar with is the stage guillotine.
Yep.
So yes, anytime you've seen anybody get their head cut off in a magic act, that's all.
Thank you for qualifying that.
Yes,
in a safe setting.
Yeah.
He's the one that terrifies children.
But
awesome.
That's another example of just the fun that we can have with topics. I think some people think, oh, history's boring, it's not fun, but that's definitely not the case. There's so many interesting stories out there, so many wonderful things in Indiana history, and we're really excited to be able to have the opportunity to commemorate them and to work with people on them.
I do think that's so important because, like you said, when I think of history, I think of like third grade when you're learning like the textbook, like blah 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 blah. And,
right.
That doesn't need to be how history is communicated anymore, especially with what I feel like is a new generation and a new way of research and information gathering and all of that. I think it's really important to break it down to stories about people and what they've done and really making it more fun.
I don't think anybody gets excited over names and dates, just a list of names and dates. And when you say that you're from the Historical Bureau and people say, oh, I'm not into history, I could never remember all the names and dates, I can't remember the names and dates either. Names more than dates, but really we're all about the stories. Like you said, it's taking that name and putting something behind it that makes you feel something about it. You're not going to remember it, and you're not going to care about it unless you connect it with a feeling or unless you connect it to your own life in some way.
Have it apply to something.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's very important to understand context, and you can glaze over. And in school, we've always had a kind of a barrier of entry into scholastics on history because it was kind of shoved at us. But if you actually unpack a particular era or a particular period of time, and you find out what people were doing to really not just make a name for themselves, but be able to invest in Indiana and Indianapolis, then you find that you're hearing somebody's passion to give back.
Yeah.
That's a whole different way to perceive it, and then
Whole different ball game.
A whole different ball game, and you start understanding. We're part of history as well.
Exactly. Our tagline for the podcast is exploring the people the people and events that shape the Hoosier state. So, and that's really how we look at it. Is these people and these places that we're covering made us and our state what and who we are today.
Bam.
That's great. That is fantastic. So, in as much as local businesses and local causes try to raise awareness, we need to know where we've come from and really be able to lift up those whose shoulders we're standing on, because we're not here. We just haven't been dropped in here. There's a lot of building and a lot of care and a lot of people that have sacrificed a heck of a lot to be able to have the city that we have.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And the more you know about it, the more you'll want to learn about it. And the more you know about it, the more you'll be invested in what you're doing to do the same thing for future generations.
No, I dig it.
Do you have any parting thoughts for anyone watching or listening who might have like a history interest but don't know where to plug in or don't know which organizations to reach out to, or why should they plug in with you all?
Yeah, well, beyond, what we were saying with the marker program in terms of diversity of topics, also if you're just interested, maybe you want to go back into actual source material. We, in conjunction with the Indiana State Library, also oversee Hoosier State Chronicles, which is a newspaper digitization program. We have close to 1 million pages of newspapers digitized. Hoosier State Chronicles is a free resource. So if people are interested in kind of getting into research, it's a great tool. I would really encourage them to. And
what a wealth of information.
If people are interested in their genealogy, it's amazing some of the things that you can find.
That's really big right now too, for sure.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
it's keyword searchable, so you can just plug your name in it or one of your ancestors' names in it and see where all they're showing up in Indiana newspapers.
Yeah, we had a volunteer who was in and he was working on some projects in his free time. He just plugged his name in and he was like, oh my gosh, it's amazing some of the things that have popped up. Like just, from when he was growing up, his name would appear in the newspaper and or his family names and stuff. So that's a great resource. But, like I said, in terms of searching marker topics, there's so much extra information out there. The blog is a wonderful resource, and Lindsey's done a great job with Talking Hoosier History. There's just so many great podcasts.
It's so nice you don't have to get like a magnifying glass out anymore and like look at old things and like.
Well, I still love that, but
I know, but for the people that don't and still want to learn, it's nice that they have that new venue to do that too. Very cool.
Absolutely. So we want to make sure our listeners, our watchers know where to find the Indiana Historical Bureau on Facebook /Indiana Historical Bureau on Facebook as well. Talking Hoosier, HIST for history. On Twitter, IN_Bureau as well as @Talk Hoosier Hist. You've got the blog out there, blog.history.in.gov, right? Which is fantastic. And on SoundCloud.com /Talking Hoosier History. This is a great example of an organization that's really grabbing a hold of new media and getting the word up, because you've like Brittany said, you got to meet them where they are, and you're nuggetizing this information, so it's no longer a difficult thing to get on board, right? So find out where you are in understanding Hoosier history, and
oh my gosh, he's getting emotional.
I'm Clem.
I know, gosh, pull it together.
It's really, really important that you as listeners and watchers to be able to find out what you should know about everywhere, who has been invested in Indianapolis. So thank you so much. You're doing a great job. Any final words that you want to give to our audience?
Not that I can think of.
Can we get a plaque for him saying the word nuggetize?
Nuggetize.
Where the phrase negatize was coined.
It's right here.
Well,
Edge
if
of
you're looking
Indy.
at Indianapolis, we have I think it's 80 markers here in Marion County alone. So
now we have 81.
I love it. I love it. All right. So with that, we want to make sure that you stay around because another nugget of questionable value is coming up with Paul Petit and the Edge. And we're also going to drink some wine. So stay tuned and see what happens to Brittany right after this. Well, this was Site Strategics investment in the Indianapolis community. We wanted to really help NX3 shine. It's a fantastic opportunity to be able to bring Site Strategics and everything that we've been able to grow to be here over the last few years, and then plug into the community, be able to help, be able to support a number of brands that are here. But more importantly, really, it's a gathering for our team to really just get out of the office and just have some fun together. A lot of times we're working so hard that we don't see a lot of the tech startup community, and this is exactly why we moved downtown, is to be able to have that connection, and this was a great platform to be able to really roll out what we do. Last year was the year of pivot. I mean, we left the South Side, knew that we had to be downtown in Indianapolis just because of the technology scene. And on top of that, we tripled our footprint, our square foot footprint downtown to make room for our live cast studio, as well as be able to expand into a much larger collaborative space for all our employees. Our role in the tech community is going to take off like a rocket ship. It honestly is, we look to help give lift to so many companies with our digital marketing tactics, as well as our studio, to be able to paint the picture, tell the why story of so many of these organizations. We've got a great team of videographers, be able to, podcast technology that is surpassing almost everybody in the country, and I'm really proud of this convergence of skills and technology to help tell the story for all of these other companies. We have organically grown, and we are now bringing a great number of really sharp people into our organization, because it's time to do that now. And with everything that we've been able to invest in from skill sets and technology, we are now really able to tell our own story, as well as so many other companies. And I got a lot of pride in who is part of this organization now. I'm proud of each and every individual that works for Site Strategics. There's no way I could have ever done this without a good deal of blessings and a good deal of really caring people to get us to this degree. And I'm just so excited about what we're about to do. The next couple of years is just going to be fantastic.
So Edge of Indy is a weekly Facebook Live broadcast where we interact with some of Indy's best and brightest movers and shakers, promote our internal brands, so Site Strategics and Edge of Indy itself. Additionally, we wanted to really connect Indianapolis and form connections with people we might eventually want to do business with. Small mom and pop businesses or restaurants, startup companies, small to medium-sized businesses, some of Indy's bigger organizations. There's a lot of good things happening, but a lot of times you're either missing it or you're so tied up in your day-to-day that you don't know what's going on. And so this is just a quick and easy way to learn about awesome things going on in our city. Edge of Indy is less than a year old, and within that year we've had over 155,000 Facebook Live views, over 1,000 individual show shares and show likes. And then in terms of show downloads of the podcast itself, there have been over 4,000 of those. So what I want to say about Paul Petit is that he brings definitely a new energy to the show. It's kind of a dad energy. He and Aaron like to swap the dad jokes and make it like a dad versus dad thing. And then you've got this blonde girl in the middle, this millennial that's just like, oh dad. And it's always nice to have him. He brings a really fun energy, and it's always good to know what weather lies ahead. We have a lot of big plans for what lies ahead. We are looking for sponsors, so to get companies engaged and kind of getting their backing and support in the community. Maybe one day have more than one show a week. That's something to build towards. We are looking at having on-site live shows on location other places. So taking it out of the studio, packing it up, and going to our guests and interviewing them there. You should definitely tune in every week because we've got some great guests who really need some support here in Indianapolis. It's just fun and a light, easy way to learn about what's going on tune in for some great, happy, lively, fun conversation.
Real life, real stories. Let's see what's trending in Indianapolis. This is Paul Poteet on The Edge.
Do the swim.
What?
Do the swim. Isn't that good?
That's a little.
Everyone, look away. Look away. Just.
That was a big dance, I think, in the 60s.
It's time for a reboot on that, don't you think?
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, if we can have every TV show that was done in the 60s redone, as a movie, whatnot.
Why haven't
Bring
they?
back the swim, everyone.
Speaking of, why haven't they redone $6 Million Man?
That is ripe for the picking,
That
isn't
is
it?
absolutely right for that. It's going to be a heck of a lot more expensive now, but
You got the built-in franchise right there, because remember the sequel to the $6 Million Man was
Bionic Woman,
right. So you got guys, girl, the show was ahead of its time.
and then Chomps, the Bionic Dog.
I don't remember Chomps.
Oh, you got to look it up. It's an awesome movie. Awesome movie.
What is happening?
Chomps.
We're just having a conversation.
Hi, Paul.
Oh, hey.
The $6 Million. He was whatever you call guys these days. He was a hottie. He was.
I think you'd trigger somebody if you actually you just can't say those words anymore. Unfortunately.
Even I can't say that he was a beautiful man. Was that was that Lee Majors?
Yeah, it was Lee Majors.
He was the $6 Million Man. Right.
I had a little Lee Majors
Can
doll.
we get this on track?
And you could actually
Are
stare
we
through his
just
eye and
off the rails.
Google Lee Majors, Brittany. You won't be sorry. Was he married to Farrah Fawcett then, right?
What is happening right now?
we're
Anyway,
just having a private moment. All right.
Busters in the late 70s. Oh, sweet.
Already off the edge.
We're way off the edge. Let's bring us back over every week to our new audience who hasn't seen us before. Welcome to our space.
We talk about TV shows from the mid to late 70s that Aaron and Paul fondly remember.
Absolutely, those were back in our heydays.
And we talk about stuff that just happened in the last few days on the internet that I found.
Yeah.
Some
So
weird.
that's where we go, and we're going to let you go right now with something weird and wacky and edgy.
It's interesting because, we were just having a little, generational moment. And at weddings, a lot of times you get people of different ages together. And then, you have the reception, and the poor DJ has to find these songs that, like, a big age group. I used to do this way back in the day, in the 80s. I used to sometimes play records at weddings. Hated it.
What was your DJ name? DJ Dirty Paul? Like, what was it?
It was my DJ name. It was Paul Poteet. I've always had the same DJ. It was Vanilla Thunder, of course.
Can we get that as a title of him next time?
That's his new lower third, yes.
My new lower third. I'm going to ask for that on TV now, too. If you could font me as Vanilla Thunder, that would be great.
You have to change your Twitter handle, too.
That's right. Mr. Vanilla Thunder Weatherman. You can make the description anything you want to these days on Twitter. It can go real long. So I could be Mr. Vanilla Thunder Weatherman. It'd be our little secret. Anyway, 538, ask a bunch of wedding DJs to compile a list of songs. These are songs that people want banned from their wedding reception.
Oh, wow.
I disagree with most of these, actually, which
Number
is surprising.
one is the chicken dance.
That can go.
Yeah.
That can.
Oh.
Clap your hands. It's the cha-cha slide.
If you've had enough to drink, the cha-cha slide can still be fun.
Yeah. You don't even need handrails for that one, right?
I never even began to learn how to do the Macarena. That's number 3. I remember when that was actually out.
Or, as the rest of us call it, the Macarena.
I'm sorry, I was putting my Hoosier spin on that. I'll have fries and a big Macarena. There's the Cupid Shuffle.
Oh,
that's fun but hard. I don't know that one, but it is fun.
Oh, please get rid of the YMCA. Please,
That can go.
just kill it off.
Young man, there's a play. That was out at about the same time as the $6 Million Man. Coincidence? I don't know. From 1978. No, I didn't like that song when it was out. Nope. Electric Boogie, parenthesis, Electric Slide.
That can go.
Yep.
Hokey Pokey. I don't know that I've.
That's okay. That's
What
okay
kind
for
of
the
wedding is that?
Well, it's for the little kids. It's for the little kids.
What wedding has little kids at it?
A lot of weddings.
Bad ones.
Wedding is where little kids are getting married. What?
No. Stop it.
Happy by that's a more recent song, of course.
Wait, you skipped over Wobble, which is a fun one.
What is Wobble?
First you wobble, then you're happy.
That's a pretty fun one. I don't know it though, but it's fun. I get jealous of people that know it.
I know happy.
Love Shack. Yeah, that needs to be retired too.
Shout.
That can go. All of these can go.
You make me want, not the 80s song Shout, but you make me want to shout. Love Shack is 11. We Are Family, number 12. That's not exactly.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, that seems inoffensive. Blurred Lines. I'm not quite sure why you'd be playing that at a wedding reception. Celebration. Everybody loves that song. I thought, Cool and the Gang. That's a classic from like 1980. Cotton Eye Joe.
Oh, geez.
Do you know what that's about?
No, I mean, I know it if I hear it, but I couldn't tell you.
Are you at liberty to say?
It has to do with syphilis. You got to look up the history of Cotton Eye Joe. Absolutely.
No.
I didn't realize that.
Look it up.
Hold on.
It's a catchy little number. But it's...
I guarantee you,
Hold
as soon
on,
as you
I'm
experience that...
Stop everything. We need to fact check this.
Snopes it right now. Don't experience it. No, that's what I'm saying. As soon as you look up the history, then you'll never play it for your children again. My kids love it until
you tell them.
Yep.
Well, tell them. Have you learned that part of parenting yet, where you hide things from them?
Come on. Yes, absolutely. They rat me out to the wife all the time.
Yeah, there's still stuff I'm not telling my 28-year-old. I mean, come on. When you're old enough, you'll find. But, I guess my point with the wedding, we were talking about cross-generational thing. It's hard to come up with songs everybody likes. And so you put these certain songs that it seems like a big age group responds to. And so they get played all the time. And then I think people get sick of hearing them because they get played all the time because so many people like them. So,
yeah, the problem is that the new generation hasn't heard it. And it's like, wait, this is fantastic. It keeps on recycling.
By the way, you're right, apparently. I just Googled it. That's really weird.
It is messed up.
Yeah.
Wow, that's more TIL. Today I learned about Cotton Eye Joe. Did not know that. Well, anyway, there are some songs that people, in case you're planning your wedding this summer, people really don't want you to play. The Macarena.
Macarena.
You know what you did when I mispronounced that? You made a Macari of me.
Oh.
That I did.
No, I won't give you that.
Now we move on to a totally normal story about a woman who married a tree.
What kind of songs do you play at that particular wedding? I bet the band's pretty wooden.
I don't know. Trees, songs about trees.
They're registered at Dollar Tree.
Yes.
Hello. Well, supposedly I like the way they put this in quotes, marries a 100-year-old tree. Boy, what do you make of that age difference? So it wouldn't be cut down. She's from California, New York, no, Florida, just in case you're curious.
Oh, Paul.
He married an ancient ficus over the weekend. Treesome.
That's the best kind of ficus, don't you think? I think so.
You don't want a young, inexperienced ficus.
Stop.
I just spit all over myself.
It included floral arrangements. Hey, don't I recognize you?
The entire family came out. Extended family.
A dog serving his
all the family tree was there.
Oh, God.
Oh, yes.
And a wedding cake decorated with an icing rendering of the tree next to the words "Higher Love."
Oh, my Lord.
It's
good luck, I guess, maybe.
What do you do? Where in the world does this person go in life? I mean,
well, you can't travel with that tree very far because that would defeat the whole purpose.
Exactly. You're pretty mal-rooted at your spot.
Someone send help, please. Please, someone come get me.
Do you suppose at the wedding reception somebody played Barbra Streisand in Evergreen?
Oh, let's see.
Anyway. I'm just going out on a limb there.
Please, someone come get me.
I mean, honestly, you can pick any particular route to go on here. But, you'd probably be barking up the wrong tree. Let's just leave it right there.
Tom, don't you too, our producer. Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh. Well, anyway, to each his own.
Yeah, good luck and Godspeed.
Oh, no, not this story. Oh.
This is much more practical. This is how you increase productivity in your workplace. I believe that's the story we're talking about.
I was looking ahead at the other one.
No, you said no to that.
Oh, I did, didn't I? Well, we're probably going to have to go there anyway.
We're going? Oh, God. I'm sorry, everyone.
I'd already thrown away my notes.
Well, I can help you out here. The New York Post, mom blends her placenta into smoothie.
And feeds it to family.
Let me tell the Edge audience, I had alerted, I had issued an alert. Maybe you don't want to talk about this.
Well, and then he said no, and yet here we are, and I'm not sure what's happening. Again.
So, there you go. I mean, it's not like we're making it up.
No, it's right there. It's on the internet. That means it's real.
I would like to make a PSA right now. Though I would never do this, I'm sure there's someone watching who probably hates you right now. So I am not.
There you go. There's the close-up.
I don't need a close-up, though.
A disclaimer, and then...
Oh, my God. Okay, well, okay.
So, apparently, you
can... Oh, no!
Well, here's, nobody's going to argue, you can drink anything you want to, but some people just have had it. By the way, there's a freeze-dried version of the umbilical cord.
Stop it. What is happening? Tom, pull the cord quick.
They already did.
Wait a minute, they're trying to pull my cord.
Oh, did they form it into the word love?
Now, what else would you spell with it?
Oh.
Vomit?
If she was just having it, then probably there wouldn't be a lot of, maybe it wouldn't have gotten published first of all, if she hadn't put it out there, it wouldn't be published as a news story.
I don't know what is happening.
She had to tell somebody. But second of all, she shared it with her family. She wasn't just, consuming always dreamed of repurposing her placenta, but missed her opportunity with the first two kids she had, but found a solution by the time she had her two most recent children. She paid $42 for that to be turned into smoothies. That is an expensive smoothie.
Don't make that sound ever.
Everything left over was dehydrated and turned into pills, costing a further $210.
Now, okay, pills seem more manageable to me because you don't actually have to taste what's happening.
Right. I'm beside myself.
But I can't make any of this okay.
She says everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and it's my body, although she's not the only one drinking. I'm the one that looks into stuff, and I make up my own mind about whatever I do. Yada, 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 yada. She's a self-confessed hippie from England and had, as you saw there, her umbilical cord dehydrated and turned into a keepsake. She's wasting nothing. She said it tasted just like a berry smoothie.
Oh, my Lord.
I'm actually going to regurgitate right now.
Wouldn't it taste more like a navel orange smoothie?
Oh.
I don't know about you, but I gave up drinking stuff out of my belly button for Lent.
for Lent.
Come on, that was a pretty good one.
That was good. That was good.
It was pretty good.
I got nothing. I'm just shocked.
Oh God, I'm dying.
The edgy things that we found this week. It's his fault. Wait a minute.
It is. This is entirely on you.
There. It was
no, you didn't.
I tried to shield you from it.
We could have been talking about pizza, and then that's the rabbit hole we went down.
I'll put the pizza on the back burner for the next time around. Still to come.
All right.
On the Edge.
Okay.
Well,
where do we go from here, though? I don't know what to do or say, so I'm punting to someone else.
All right, so we've had some interesting weather over the last week. So we're evidently on our fourth winter.
We are. We're on fourth winter. It's and we've had all four seasons, and Frankie Valley too. In the last week, we've had severe weather on yesterday. As you're watching the live stream of this on Wednesday, a report of a tornado up around Covington, Indiana, toward Lafayette, Frankfort, that area, and some big tree damage in Lafayette, and then they had a power outage earlier today in Zionsville. So.
And it was snowing this morning.
It was snowing this morning. At flurries this morning. Well, we had 2 inches of snow on Sunday night. That was gone pretty quickly. But that set a record for Easter in Indianapolis. We've had 2 holidays. Here's a little factoid for you. We've had 2 holidays that have been record-setting so far this year. We had like the second coldest New Year's Day ever, and now we've had the snowiest Easter ever. And it's not stopping. I mean, look at the 7.
Do we have any reason to believe that spring is actually happening?
Look at all those little snowflakes there.
No, spring's not up there yet. I don't.
Terms. Yeah, it got to 66 yesterday, and that's as warm as it had been since February, and it lasted an entire day. It was more like half a day. I mean, it got warm, then late in the afternoon and into the evening, it was still like 66. But
there's snow up there.
Yeah, there's a chance of showers Thursday afternoon, early evening, and then Friday, rain changes to snow. Friday night, there could be like a little dusting of that, especially south of Indy. And then again, Sunday night into Monday, might be a little rain with snow. And the wind chills are in the 20s all day today to boot. Yeah, we're almost, we're into the first week of April here, ladies and gentlemen. This is terrible.
Like Game of Thrones winter, it's never going to warm.
Is it coming? Is spring coming? Is there any?
Oh, maybe after about the 16th from the stuff I was looking.
Are you kidding me?
Of June.
Of 2021.
Yeah, right. Oh, did I forget to say what month it was referring? No, 16th of April. And then there are some signs we might have a really hot, dry stretch, which probably nobody's going to mind.
What do you mean by really hot?
Well, above average temperatures, maybe like in May, in the first part of June.
Great.
There you go.
Yeah, we have the sun is low energy right now. We do not have a lot of solar energy in this part of the world to work with. So that polar vortex just keeps sliding downward every couple of days. Sorry.
It's not too bad.
Well, my bias. I like it hot, and my smoothie's cold.
Oh, yes. And from fruit.
And more.
Let's stay away from body parts for the remainder of the year.
Yeah. Well, all right. We'll have that when I come back next week, and hopefully I'll also have warmer temperatures when I come back next time around.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Paul. We can always find. We want to make sure
we can always find you. Is what you were going to say. We can always find you
over at paulpoteet.com.
That's right, where I will be toasting all of our Edge viewers today with just plain coffee. That's
thank you. Thank you.
Nothing weird in that glass.
Well, as far as you know.
Thank you so much, Paul. It's always a pleasure. And everybody, follow Paul over at Paul Poteet on Twitter. And go over and check him out and send him a message. Let him know how much you enjoy Paul's contribution here on Edge of Indy. So thanks so much, Paul. And we'll talk to you next week.
All right. See you.
Bye.
Right, take care. Okay, hey, we always want to make sure we give a shout out to our title sponsor, that is Site Strategics, and we want to share a great opportunity with our listeners. We provide digital marketing strategies to our clients regularly, and it goes without saying that we are constantly asked a question about return on investment of digital marketing. And that's truly what you're focused on, right? With any marketing firm. Would you like to have a second opinion regarding your own marketing ROI? Why not have that? And, see if your investment's paying off. So we are offering a digital marketing ROI report that gives a comprehensive assessment of your SEO, your content, social media, your paid ads, and it gives us a picture that we can provide you and really it gives us an understanding of how it's working for you. We go through an audit of all those different spaces as well as your competitors, ding, 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 and you can actually check all that out over at the website right here, offers.edgeofindy.com/ROI. You can check out all that, and it just gets a conversation started and shows you potentially what your gaps are. On top of that, what your competitors are doing, and we can give all that to you very easily. So go check out that URL. Thanks again for Site Strategics being the title sponsor of Edge of Indy.
This is Edge of Indy, showcasing Indianapolis tech trends, marketing industry champions, and business innovation. Broadcasting from Edge Media Studios. Now, let's get back to today's topic.
We've got the wine lady in the house, and Brittany.
Me or Jen?
Now, it's great to be able to showcase such an innovative business, and on top of it, it makes everybody happy. It's the Vino
or cry sometimes.
Depends on how long you stay around. The Vino Mobile Bar. We welcome Jim Kempmeyer, founder of Vino Mobile Bar, to our lovely studio.
Also,
how are you doing?
My new best friend.
Yep.
Hello. Thank you.
We're actually really old friends of yours. You were here back at our open house back in October of 2016, and so welcome back.
Thank you.
You're more than
Thanks for
welcome.
having me.
You are more than welcome. Now, what you do is pretty self-explanatory. You bring wine to people.
I do.
In an awesome bus.
Yeah. So I like to drink wine, and I'm a mom, and then sometimes for some people it goes hand in hand. It does for me anyways.
It's much more medicinal at that
It
point
helps
in time.
parenting, let me tell you what. I have a 12-and-a-half-year-old. So
Girl or boy?
Boy.
Well,
Yes, boy.
You could have a girl.
So with that being said, I just had this idea, actually, while drinking an adult beverages.
That's where the best ideas come from.
It does, with a friend. And it was like, hey, why don't we start a margarita? I was like, not really my kind of cup of tea. But, however, wine is. So I drove myself, my dad and I went over to Whitestown to the bus, little area over there where you can buy old buses. And we drove away with a short bus. And we rehabbed it, my husband and I did. And now it is called Vinny.
There you go.
Vinny, because, who doesn't,
I think we have a. Yep, there he is.
There he is. There's Vinny.
There's
yes.
Vinny.
He's beautiful. Look at him.
The mobile bar.
So we completely gutted it, and we put in a serving window. It's kind of like a food truck, but a little bit better, if you ask me.
I completely agree.
We would concur. We had a great time whenever you came here. And you have, it's a mobile liquor license, right?
Yeah, so we are operating the state
Is this legal?
Shh, don't tell anybody.
Wait, cat's out of the bag.
Time out. Yes, the ATC knows about me.
Okay. I would never report you, though. Don't worry.
No, nobody wants to. People want me to drive around their neighborhood. I'm like, only if I could.
Oh my gosh, just like the ice cream trucks.
Oh my gosh.
But only better.
Oh, we would absolutely run out with $5 in hand to buy.
Right. So what the theme song that everybody says is red wine.
UB40. That's a great song.
Yes. And it was amazing because I put it on Facebook one day. What wine songs? And I was like, I didn't even know what half these even were. And I'm like, well, there you go. We've got music now. So we roll into parties literally, and can pour beer and wine.
Cool.
That's all we do. But so there's a little picture of Vinny there with his little side window, and that's at night. That was downtown at an event that we had. So that was at Military Park. So again, anywhere in the state of Indiana, that's the beauty of it. Private houses, middle of a cul-de-sac. You name it.
My apartment unit.
Buy her apartment.
It makes a block party so much more fun.
It does. Yeah. We like to partner up with food trucks,
Yeah.
Bounce houses for the kids to go bouncing, and mom and dad are sitting there drinking their wine and beer. It's all good.
So my first question is, why aren't you here all the time? And my second question is, can you tell us about being a female business owner here in Indy? What's your experience been?
So I actually started my first company when I was 7. So I've been doing this for a couple days. And greater part of lived in Indiana about 17 years of my life. So I will tell you what, in the past 5 to 6 years, our state has fully been embracing and supporting female business owners, and I'm absolutely loving it. There's more grants out there. There's more help. There's more networking for women. You're not afraid to go to a networking and have to stand in the back anymore because they're more women-led now. So I'm really enjoying that part of it. And it's all different facets of life. It's some people like myself who came out of corporate and said, hey, corporate wasn't for me. What do I want to be when I grow up? And you just kind of find your niche and you go with it there, and they're embracing. So it's amazing.
Good.
And the Indiana laws for adult beverages have been expanded and embraced, and now we've got blue laws are bygones now, right? We're still in the process.
We're hoping we're getting there.
Oh my gosh!
One of these days. We do have very antiquated liquor laws here. We absolutely do. But if you talk to the right people and nudge the right people, things can be done. So
because we were talking about how great it was in Wisconsin just before this segment.
Yes, yeah, in Wisconsin, you can belly up to the bar as long as you're with your parents. So there you go, whatever age.
Isn't that the best thing you've ever heard in your life?
I don't know. I've got 4 kids, and that would be scary.
Yes.
But what a great time.
They would sleep till noon.
And
just saying,
they wouldn't be sick. It's healthy. That's right.
So it's all medicinal. As you have a medicinal wine truck that
You're
comes
really
up.
a traveling doctor. Of sorts, aren't you?
So what's it like having the first wine started? Because this is the case. This is the first wine truck for Indiana, correct?
Well, the United States, there's only one other wine truck, and that's in the California area. Yeah.
For the United States.
Correct.
Oh
yes.
my gosh.
Now there's some in UK and there's some in other countries, but for majority in UK, because I mean, seriously, I mean, who would not want to live there too? But it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
But no, it's still a little bit overwhelming because, you know, we do have the wine truck and we're booked solid, which is a fantastic because the community has just embraced us and said, hey, one, I'm a female entrepreneur.
Yep.
2, I'm local.
Yep.
And 3, they're like, hey, keep it local. And I'm like, yeah. But every single week we probably get myself and I, we.
You're talking about yourself in third person.
Yeah, sometimes you have to.
She's very important, okay?
It sounds more professional in email. Just saying.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
That's a good business tip. When in doubt, just say we when you really mean
exactly.
So which we are we talking to now?
Right, exactly, yeah. So we get, constantly like, hey, I'm from New York, or hey, I'm from Connecticut. We want to start our own. And while I would love to reach out and say, hey, here's what you do, every state is so different because every law is different. So you can go out by all means and get a bus and gut it, but you've got to figure out your own liquor laws there and how you're going to do it, where you can pour, what time you can pour. I mean, it's even so particular in certain townships here, you have to have special permits. So we really have to do our research when someone says, hey, I want you to come to Avon or I want you to come to Whitestown or whatever. That's fine, but where are you located and what do we need to be able to be there on site to legally pour for you? So there's a lot more than just rolling up with the wine truck and opening up the doors.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about your specific services? Because this can all be rented.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's incredible.
Yeah, so we do any type of from A to Z type of parties. So if you've got a wedding, we're really big into this year into the weddings, the barn weddings, because they just don't want to deal with the permits and the license and all of that.
And barn weddings are just the
oh my
most
gosh, they're
fun
so
ever.
cool. They are, yeah. So everything from weddings, bat mitzvahs, baptisms. We've even done divorce parties. So
That's a thing.
To that.
That's a thing.
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard that.
You've never heard of? Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
Why not?
Absolutely.
Even more so.
You mean wine, not
Wine, not.
Wow.
That's a good one. Cheers
been
on that
drinking.
one.
That's almost dad joke.
Can you tell I've been drinking?
What is in that little cuppy poo over there?
I put a little bit of Chardonnay in this from the refrigerator.
So we really decide on, if it's going to be a birthday party, we need to know how many people, beer and wine. We typically like to roll out with 2 whites and 2 reds. We do live in Indiana, so it is a sweeter state with our wine. So we have our Moscato drinkers here.
That's me.
There you go. It's okay. We still love you.
Thank you. I'm still a person. I still matter. We still
They're
love you.
odd, but yeah, they're around.
Yep. Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and a Cabernet are pretty much staples on us. And then what we found last year was Yingling Light. Holy Toledo. We could not keep that on the bus enough. And then also craft, because we like to support our craft, local people as well, too.
So you have some really good craft beers and you kind of rotate some of the craft beers. So name some of the beers that you cover.
Well, and not only that, but you, as the event sponsor, can tell me, hey, I want to roll in here. Because as your event, we had 2 domestic and 2 craft for you, and you're like, this is what we want. So we do Taxman, we do Beer Works, we do Sun King. Of course, everybody loves Sun King. Sure. So any varietal, we can, and we work with Monarch, that's our distributor, and also Rhodes. So we've got 2 that we work with.
Do you know Garden Party Botanical Hard Soda?
But we can't serve that.
Because
it's got some alcohol stuff in it. We can only do the beer and the wine. So
maybe one day.
Maybe one
come
day.
on, Blue Laws, figure this thing out.
I know. It's one of those situations that
Indiana has to rain on
roll with it.
everything.
But we did something really cool last summer. We did the wine cans. The wine cans. So they're cans of wine. You open them up, and then we had custom straws made for them, so the women didn't get their lipstick on the cans, because you got to be thinking
we're
about
ladies.
Because we're ladies, exactly. So you walk around with a custom straw in your wine can, and it was perfect.
A wine can?
A wine can, yeah. We had like 6 different varieties of them, yeah. Pink fuzzy something and white something, and yeah. But they had the most interesting names. They really, truly did.
So it wasn't really called a pink something or a fuzzy white something.
Yeah, it was called like fuzzy something. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So
on that note,
getting back to the business, it's fantastic, and you certainly found a niche. Now, how are you going to scale?
So our goal was to run it we're at about close to 2 years. So May. Let's just go through this in my mind.
Pick any of them.
Pick a month.
There you have it. A lot going on up here. So May 28th is when we rolled out in 2016. And so our goal was to run it for 2 years because honestly, we didn't know what we didn't know.
Yeah.
And we've grown scalable by 20% each year. And that was our growth. So the next is, to get another truck, potentially maybe even franchise this out. Other states, not for sure. Right now we're talking to a franchise attorney, but I think logistically it's just going to be too craziness. So yeah, just grow it, maybe have 4 or 5.
There you go.
And just let these little trucks run around, and the next one's going to be Vito. So we'll have a Vinny and Vito.
I love it.
Yeah.
You should have a girl, and it could be Violet.
Well, Viana, somebody I think.
Okay,
Viana's, that'll be the third one. So
good.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And we're going to look forward to that because everybody needs a wine truck.
They do.
They really do.
Every neighborhood should have their own wine truck.
In summer concerts too. I mean, we do a lot of the Saxony. We do the West Clay concerts. We do. That's the beauty of it. They don't have to worry about having, people walk in with their coolers and stuff because of glass containers and whatnot too.
Yep.
We self-contain all that for them.
What are some of the business challenges you've uncovered in your almost 2 years?
Well, at first, people really didn't know what we did. They're like, oh, it's a wine truck. Oh, we can get on the bus and you can drive us around and we can get drunk on the bus and then we can get off. And I'm like, no, that's not really what it was. So the other thing is it's the experience. So when you walk up to Vinny, it's an experience. It's kind of like getting that blue Tiffany box.
Yeah.
And you open it up and you're like, oh my gosh, that is so gorgeous. It's the experience of touching it and seeing it. It's the experience of walking up to Vinny and going, I'm in front of a wine truck.
Right.
And I'm going to drink a glass of wine.
And you got a really cool atmosphere on that truck because you get it lit up. It's almost ethereal.
Heavenly.
Yeah. Well, it just reminds. I mean, you got some great touches there of just the atmosphere, and I think it brings some stools around as well. You can sit right next to the bar.
Yes, yep.
And it's well done.
It's got a woman's touch for sure.
Yeah. It does. I like the colors. We use steel and the teal colors to pull out of it to give it a little homey, but still vintage style to it as well.
I love it.
Yeah. So on the business side, you started your first company at age 7. Now it wasn't the mobile bar at that point in time.
That would be very advanced.
That would be. And kind of scary for a 7-year-old.
For my parents, yes, definitely. So it was a
spiked lemonade.
Close. Gumball route. A gumball route. And I was, in grade school, and my best friend's dad was selling it. And so I came home and said, hey, Dad, my parents have been entrepreneurs all of my life.
Oh, cool.
So it kind of just, bled into who I was going to be growing up. And Dad's like, okay, fine. So we went down, we looked at the numbers, and literally went down to this little bank in Lena, Illinois, of all of 1,200 people, and sat across from the banker and he wrote me a loan at the age of 7. And I was like, okay, here we go. So and off we were going.
Damn,
yeah, and
that's
then
incredible.
Yeah, and then life gets busy when we were in sports, so we ended up selling. Of course, my sister had to get into it. First, it was going to be J Enterprises and had to be J and S Enterprises because my sister Stephanie.
Because sisters do that.
They do, and you're like, okay, fine. Then I just had the entrepreneur bug and just kept going from there.
Any advice for entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs?
I may get some bad memes off this one, but not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur. It just really, you're not.
I love it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm just going to state it because
You may not be wired for it.
Right. You may think that you've got the best idea out there, but research it, research it. Because just because it's a great idea here, for example, when I had the Indy Baby Expo and wanted to move that out to the other states, I had to completely rebrand it because guess what? Indy Baby Expo makes 0 cents in Chicago. So we had to rebrand. So things that you think about when you're doing it. But if you are going to start a business, I really highly recommend researching it. Research the name, research the logo, research do they have any lawsuits against them in any other states with your business name? I mean, just the little things that you don't think about that will put you backwards before you even go forwards.
So a focus on the operations side of things, it sounds like. Not just the ideas, but the actual execution of things.
Yeah, and give it some time. I mean, it doesn't Gary Vee, I love Gary Vee. And that's who I listen to podcasts all the time about him.
Yep.
Patience. And that's what you really have to have. We knew the wine truck was going to take off. We knew it was going to be misunderstood by some people, but then we were going to have to educate, but then some people who will just get it. So we're now, going into 2 years of this now, and our growth is growing 20% at a year. We're happy with that. We're okay. We don't need to be booked every single day. We just can't be booked every single day.
Yes, you can.
And my Vinny girls.
Yes, you can, and you will.
And my Vinny girls, because we've got 3 amazing women who
us about your Vinny
my
girls.
gosh, I love my Vinny girls. So here's the funny thing about my Vinny girls. They are actually all have been or currently one of my son's teachers at Orchard School. He goes to
You
Orchard.
have a Zane?
I have a Zane.
I have a Zane too?
I know.
Oh my
Isn't
God.
that
Oh, that's
cool?
right, yeah.
Did you name your after the author Zane Grey? That's
Well, not entirely.
Okay.
Actually, we named him after the Gaelic version of John,
okay.
which is Zane.
There you go. There.
But we had Zane Grey all over the place because my dad's Texan.
There
so
you go.
it was a twofer.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
We're
When
good on
worlds collide.
We're twinsing on that one there.
Zanes are awesome.
They are. So as part of that, I needed to find people who trust because we are cash operating business. And so they are amazing, fantastic, bubbly, spirited women who work the bus. And 2 of them drive it. We won't let one drive it. No.
Well, everyone has
We
their
love her, but
limitations.
we do not let her drive the bus. I want Vinny to come home
Oh, my Lord.
In one piece.
in one piece.
That's funny.
One remaining question for me, and that is, what is your favorite kind of wine, and when are we going to go drink together?
We can drink anytime.
Okay.
Because if you're going to drink all day, the earlier you start, the better.
Okay, right.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Challenge accepted.
accepted. This is awesome.
I wanted to reply to you, duh, but that didn't seem polite.
Love it. Really, it's seasonal for me. So we're going into summer, so I'm going to choose a crisp, buttery Chardonnay. And then when I'm going into the fall, I'm going to choose a Pinot Noir. And then over the winter, it's definitely a full blend cab.
Do you like wine?
I love wine. Yeah.
What do you drink?
Shiraz.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
what's
that's
that?
a heavy.
It's a blend of.
Is that a man's wine?
Yes, it is.
It's spicier. It's got a kick to it.
It's not as dry as a Cabernet, but it's kind of a blend of Cabernet and what's the other grape? It's not Pinot. It's maybe it is. Anyway, it's a deep wine. It's a rich wine.
And the Malbec is very close to that one, too.
Yeah.
So you probably like that as well.
Oh, I don't like Malbec.
Yeah.
That's a full-bodied one for sure.
That's
All the tannin in the Cabernet is giving me a headache, but that's kind of middle. The
Well, you
Shiraz
have to
is
drink something else first, and then by the time you get
usually it's bourbon, and then I go straight into wine. See?
And just take some, follow it up with Tylenol and go to bed, and you'll be just fine.
that's exactly right.
We'll circle back around to
That is
bourbon.
exactly correct. I love it.
So, thank you so much for joining us today, and
Thank
we're
you.
certainly going to have you come back out. We got to figure out when our next event is. And
Maybe when the weather gets nice.
it won't.
So July.
See you in 4 years.
Well, for our audience and our watchers, you'll certainly want to go check out the website, VinoMobileBar.com. They're on the screen, and check them out at Facebook.com/Vino Mobile Bar, Twitter, Vino Mobile Bar, and Instagram, Vino Mobile Bar. All the checks. Very, very good.
Good job.
Awesome. Thank
Excellent.
you.
You're more than welcome. And can you give an idea for anybody who's interested in hiring and renting the truck about what's the range there from an event?
If you're thinking of doing an event, 20 people is like the lowest that we were going to go for an event.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
we'll go up to, we do concerts. So give us a call. Everything is customized because you get to pick the type of wines and beers that you want. So
Yeah,
That's
good.
so smart.
Yeah.
Instead of forcing things that I don't want on me.
No, because I don't follow the rules. I outside the
Except
square.
for the
Except for the ATC,
for laws.
I do
Exactly.
that.
Laws
Yes.
she does follow, rules she doesn't.
Well, it's so fantastic to have you, and congrats, and thanks for representing. You're more than welcome. Thanks for representing women entrepreneurs as well as just innovators in Indiana and Indianapolis, because we need more demonstration of people that are wanting to cut a new jib, so to speak. They want to get out there and find your niche and go after it. But you're absolutely honestly saying some people aren't cut for it. So
Sorry about you.
sorry about you. If that's the case, then go ahead and call Jen up, and she'll bring you wine.
There we go. We can talk about it. Therapy 101.
She'll set you on the right path.
Vino Therapy Mobile Bar. There we go. All right.
Whoa.
I'm saying. Well, thank you so much for joining us and listening to us. Hey, if you like what you listen to, go ahead and rate us online. Give us some reviews, because we'll only know from you if you actually say something. And if you're... I don't know.
Well
I don't
said.
know.
We'll
Well
only
said.
know you're there if you say something.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, join us on all the all the different socials. Stop it. All the socials, and let us know who you want us to talk to, because you know what? We want to talk to you regularly and all the friends. How about that?
Well done.
All the Facebooks, all the friends.
All the socials, and share often. So it's all right. I'm done. Edge of Indy. Check us out next week. See you later.
Bye.
Choose local and choose local often. Bye bye.